Hi everybody, my name is Mara. This is my second YouTube video that I will be uploading. My first was the vlogging of the birth of my twins, and the story behind that is when I was pregnant with twins, all I did was sit on the couch and, well, partly because I was on bed rest, but I would sit on the couch and I would watch YouTube videos of births of twins. And partly because I'm a new mom, these were my first kids, and partly because the whole twin thing is a little bit terrifying. So because I watch so many YouTube videos, I watched It's Judy's Time, I watched Jess Fam, I watched Schmovies, so all the, great YouTubers that have put out twin videos, also some completely random ones. Some were like 2 seconds long and you didn't want to watch those ones again. Others were like an hour long and you were dying of boredom because it was too long. But also I made the birth video because I want my kids to be able to watch it if they want to when they're older. That's also why it's not a graphic video. Who wants to see their mom's cha, right? Okay. So I had a lot of fun putting it up on YouTube, and I like the YouTube community, so I decided I was gonna start making a YouTube video here and there. Today I'm gonna do the twin mom tag. So I saw Natalie Bennett do this, and she tagged some people. I wasn't one of them because she doesn't know who I am. But there are 10 questions to the twin mom tag. I'm actually going to try and burn through these kind of quickly because I'm losing daylight. So the first question is, tell us about your twins. Are they fraternal or identical, and what are their genders? So my twins are fraternal. I have a boy and a girl. The boy's name is Noble and the girl's name is Quinn. They're awesome. They're 2 months old. I'm really starting to see their personalities, which I like a lot. So you might hear them crying in the background. My husband is doing his best to take care of them. He hasn't had a lot of one-on-one time with them because I've been kind of hogging them. So, but that's okay because I go back to work next week, and so he needs to practice. So the second question is, how far along were you when you found out it was twins? What was your reaction, and what was your husband's reaction? So I was 9 weeks pregnant when I went in for my very first prenatal appointment. At my clinic, they do ultrasounds to determine gender, and I'll put a picture somewhere here to show you the very first ultrasound pic we ever got of them. Basically, we went in there. Ultrasounds this early are the ones where they stick things up inside of you to be gentle about it. And the ultrasound technician said, I would like to take a look around. I'm going to be quiet for a few minutes and then I'll talk you through the rest. And so she put the image up on the screen. I kind of saw right away that there were 2 babies, but I've never been pregnant before. I didn't know what ultrasounds were supposed to look like. I don't know if I was looking at a mirror image or something was going on with the machine. So I just kept my mouth shut because there was no way it was gonna be twins, right? So my husband is kind of sitting to my left and he's thinking along the same things, and the ultrasound tech, after the longest silence known to man, right? She says, well, you are pregnant and you are twice blessed. And at first I was a little confused, and I said, excuse me. And she said, it is twins. And I was in total shock. I basically called her a liar. I said, no, it's not. It's not twins. And she said, oh yes it is. And then I said, you are lying. And she said, I would never lie about something like that. So I was in complete shock, and started shaking uncontrollably, crying like a baby. I don't really think that they were tears of happiness necessarily, just because I'm a planner. We were trying to have a baby. Nobody tries to have multiples. So my mind went to, how are we going to do this? Financially, time-wise, how am I supposed to take care of twins? I've never been a mom before. And my husband's reaction was total joy. He wanted this. It's not like he ever said, I want to have twins, or let's try to have twins, nothing like that. But he could not have been happier that there were 2 babies in there. And eventually I came around to his way of thinking, but at first there was a lot of hitting him. I'm not abusive, I promise. But no, I'd whack him when on the way home and say, what did you do to me? But now that we know they're fraternal, it is my fault, not my fault, my doing of dropping 2 eggs last November. So that was our reactions. Number 3 says, how is it carrying twins, the pros and the cons? So carrying twins is an awesome experience. I felt totally blessed carrying twins. There's a lot of pros to me. A big one is all the ultrasounds you get. I know for some people, multiple, all those appointments is a con, but for me, I loved seeing my babies as often as I did. I actually went into labor at 28 weeks, and we were able to stop the contractions and put me on bed rest until I gave birth. And then at that point, I was having weekly appointments, so I was seeing my babies every single week, and not all women get to do that. Some people get 1 ultrasound, some people maybe get 2. I had 15 plus. I've never counted, but I had a lot of ultrasounds, so that was a huge pro for me. A con, fear that you were going to lose one or both babies. Pregnancies with twins are high risk, at least that's what my doctor shared with me, that I was a high risk pregnancy, and that's scary. And I did have some bleeding at 12 weeks, and I thought, it was all my fault, and I did something wrong, and I wasn't meant to carry twins. All the terrible, totally untrue thoughts that go through your head when you're pregnant and you think that you're having a miscarriage. So it's scary, definitely, but the total blessing of the 2 babies after they're born is totally outweighs the fear. So number 4 says, how many weeks were you when you were delivered? Is there a picture? I was 35 weeks and 6 days when I delivered my twins, so almost made it to 36 weeks, and 36 weeks was my doctor's goal. So she wanted me to get, if I got to 36 weeks, that was wonderful. So I was a day shy of our goal, even with all the bed rest and stuff. I kind of, towards the end of bed rest, when I was like 35 and 3 days, I kind of started to do things that I knew would help labor along. Don't tell my doctor, because she probably would have said that's bad, but I had totally healthy babies, so don't worry about that. But there is not a picture, really. There's video. You see my belly for like 2 seconds when I'm standing. We totally forgot to get a final picture of my belly. The last belly picture that I took was at 34 weeks. So I'm a little sad about that. Next pregnancy, we'll remember to get the last belly shot, because I really am kind of sad about it. So number 5 says, tell us about the birth. Was it a vaginal or C-section? Weights and how many minutes apart? So I was so blessed to have 2 vaginal births with my twins. That's I don't want to say it's rare, because obviously there's videos online that you can see of lots of women giving birth to their twins vaginally, but I want to say that my doctor quoted me that only something like 20% of all twins are both born vaginally, because the risk for C-section is so high. My doctor's rules were baby A had to be the larger twin, and if they weren't the larger twin, they couldn't be more than 25% smaller than twin B, and twin A had to be head down. Those were her conditions. If twin B was not head down, she would figure it out when she got there. She could deliver a breech, she could try to turn it, but both my babies were head down. That was not the case my entire pregnancy. B kept flip-flopping on me every appointment I went in. B was in a different position. B is my baby girl, Quinn. So I didn't know until we got there. And also sometimes baby B is head down until baby A is delivered. Sometimes they come out so fast they just flip around. So you really don't know until you get there. But I was so lucky to have 2 vaginal successful twin births. I'm really grateful. So and they are twin A, Noble, our boy, he was 5 pounds 7 ounces, so really good weight. And then twin B, Quinn, she was 5 pounds, I almost lost it, 5 pounds 11 ounces. You think I know, I say it so often. And length, Quinn was 19 inches and Noble was 18.5 inches. So twin A for us was the smaller twin, but he was not more than 25% smaller. Number 6, bottle or breast, one or both twin at the same time. So I am currently breastfeeding. When they were first born, so apparently the jaw muscles, the sucking muscles in your mouth, are some of the last to develop. So when you have a premature baby, they oftentimes have trouble latching and nursing. That was the case with us. Noble didn't want to nurse at all. He would open his mouth about this wide for me, and I just couldn't get him to open his mouth any wider than that. And then Quinn was a great latcher, but she was not actively drawing milk out. She would latch and she would kind of like do the sucking motions, but she did not have enough strength to pull milk out. And also, you know, I didn't have my milk in at the hospital, I only had colostrum. We ended up having to formula feed them at the hospital because they simply were not getting enough calories from me, and it was concerning, and we needed to keep their blood sugars at a steady rate. And so when they saw blood sugar was not staying at an acceptable level just from my supply, they decided to supplement with formula. I was not heartbroken about this. I know that some moms are. I just wanted my babies to get calories, and I knew that I was going to be successful at nursing down the line. It didn't have to be immediate, especially because I've never breastfed before. There was going to be a learning curve for me and for them, so I was fine with it. Now they're exclusively breastfed. I feed them at the same time. 99% of the time I tandem nurse, and that was a struggle at first. I didn't know what I was doing. I was really clumsy and awkward. I had this giant twin breastfeeding pillow. Without that pillow, I could not tandem nurse for sure. So thank God for that. But I put them both on the changing table. I strap on my pillow quick. I bring them both on my pillow. I hold them tight, and as I walk over to my rocking chair, I sit down and I tandem nurse them. So it's difficult, and I don't know how that's going to work as they get older and heavier. I might have to figure out something different, but for right now it's working great and it's really fast. 7 says, are they on the same schedule or are they separate? They are on the same schedule for the most part. They're only 2 months old, so we're working on it. They kind of don't sleep at the same times except for nighttime, which I'm really grateful for. They go about 5.5 to 6 hours at night in between a feeding, and they both do that. Last night they went 8 hours. I was like, hell yeah, that's awesome. The hardest part for sure is when they're fussy at the same time, and it's not from being hungry, because that I can solve. But and that leads us to question number 8, which is, what do you do when they're both crying? And I mean, what can you do? You do the best that you can, right? If there's somebody to help me, I enlist their help. But for the most part, I do things on my own. My husband works nights, so nights are especially challenging when there are 2 crying babies. I do have family close by. I just don't ask them for help. That's more of a pride thing. I can do it on my own. which is stupid, but it's who I am. So, you know, you try, and the one that's freaking out the most, you try and calm them down first, I guess. I also know my babies, so usually when Noble is freaking out, it's because he wants to stand. He is standing on his own. As long as you hold him steady, he will stand on his own, and he wants to do it all the time. And he's only 2 months old. Speaking of which, Noble rolled over at 6 weeks. Quinn was 7 weeks. Still super early, but 6 weeks. Can you imagine? So Noble typically wants to stand, so I'll try and get him like standing. And then Quinn is okay with just chilling. A lot of times she likes to be on her belly, so I'll put her on her belly like in between my legs while I stand on the couch, and then I'll hold Noble, and usually I can get him to calm down both like that. It's when they're both spitting out their nooks, but they want their nooks, so you gotta keep putting them back in their mouths. That's challenging for sure. Number 9 says reactions to the cliche questions. I don't have a problem with most cliche questions. I know that a lot of twin moms are super perturbed by them, especially if you've ever been on, like, I belong to you know, twin mommy boards on certain pregnancy and baby apps, and there is a lot of aggression out there with some of the cliche questions, especially, you know, especially, did you conceive them naturally? That is a hot button for people. And I can totally see the merit in it, but try not to, if you have ever asked a twin mom that question, try not to do it again, because the next mom that you get might not be okay with it. The one cliche question that gets to me a little bit, and I have to work on this for myself, is just, oh, so you had a boy and a girl. You can be done now, right? I guess I don't understand why people think that's okay to say to me. That one is a little sensitive because I've always wanted a big family. So for you to imply that I should be done because I've had a boy and a girl is a little frustrating. I don't want to say offensive, because truly you are the only person that can make yourself offended. If you understand that people generally come from a good place, or you understand who you are in your heart, then nobody really has the power to offend you. That's just my opinion. But yeah, that's the only one that I'm kind of like, maybe don't ask me that question again. All the other ones I'm fine with. A funny cliche question I get is, are they identical or fraternal? Even after I tell them that I have a boy and a girl, I get that question. And if you don't know anything about twins, that's okay to ask, but it is funny because identical twins have to have the exact same DNA. Exact same DNA. That's what makes them identical. So a boy-girl twin, they can't be identical. So if you didn't know that, you know that now. But that one I'll just laugh at, like, oh no, they're fraternal. I have a boy and a girl. They're definitely fraternal. I don't have to get a DNA test done, because I know one has parts the other one doesn't, and vice versa. So, and the last question here, any advice for new moms of twins? I just love what Natalie Bennett said about grace. If you have never seen her video, go check it out. Natalie Bennett is an amazing twin mom, super beautiful inside and out, but she talks about just have grace with yourself, have grace with other people, and I totally agree with that. If anything, I would just add, remember that it's only for a little while. Everything is only for a little while. When they're fussing, it's only for a little while. You know, when they're too small to sit up on their own, and so you can't, you know, go to the kitchen quick and do something, or they'll get mad at you. It's only for a little while, and appreciate every single stage that they go through, because it's only for a little while. They're not going to be this small forever. I already miss the days when they were 5 pounds, because they're probably like 10 now. I don't know. We have our 2-month appointment this Friday, but they were so tiny, and I look at their preemie clothes that I brought them home in, and they're so small. I just can't. So just have patience and try to remember it's only for a time. It's only for a season. So that is it for the tag. I think we're gonna bring the twins in for you to meet them. So So this is Mr. Noble. And this is our dog, Kenna. Hi, Kenna. Hey, baby girl. She's really good with them. Yes, you love Mr. Noble. This is Mr. Noble. Can you say hi? He's always like, what's going on behind me and above me? So he's got such a strong neck. Are you so strong, buddy? Don't you want to say hi to me? I just love him. He's so squirmy and awake all the time, which is why he's still the smaller twin, because he burns way more calories than Quinn. So let's go get Quinn, huh? And this is our baby girl, Quinn. Hi, baby. Yes, they're both in white onesies. I am not super, I mean, I am lazy on dressing them when we're just staying home. We're actually going to a friend's house for dinner, so they are about to get outfits put on, but Quinn's a little more wobbly. She's not quite as strong as Noble, but she is our talker. She grunts all the time. Why are you both like, are you both camera shy? Huh? Oh. So, well, I am going to sign off because I do need to go to dinner with my friends, but I am so grateful for anybody that's watching this video. And until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. Bye.